say if you were doing like a long overnighter alone and you met someone, like, would you want them to like stick around with you or?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I've met a couple people on overnight hikes, and one guy I met, he was really cool. I always find when it's dark and I meet these people, there's that like fear response because we associate like robbers and bad things happening at night when it's dark. So that is there initially, and then in the daylight you're talking to them and you're like, oh, they're chill. But so the two people that I've met on solo hikes, one of them I genuinely thought like something was going to happen. The sun was setting and he rocks up to...
Like a bit creepy?
Yeah, no, he rocks up to camp. He's this old guy and he's really big, like 6'4", weighs like 100 kilos, like muscle, but he's old. And I was like initially intimidated by his size. Sit down, like his name's Sandy, we're just having a chat and he's like, I'm like, oh, you here alone? He's like, no, I'm with my friends. Didn't seem alarmed that they weren't around. So I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, like, are they here? And he's like, oh, like, yeah, they were just behind me, like they'll be coming. And instantly in my mind, I'm like, it's so rare when you hike with your friends that you split up. So I'm already concerned, like, why they're not here? Why are you not with your friends?
Wait, so he drove in or he hiked?
No, hiked it.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
So I'm like, this is really got me concerned, but like, I'm just going to play along. And in my mind, I'm already like thinking survival. Like, I know where my pocket knife is. I believe I'm going to be faster than this guy. Like, I'm already thinking about all of this stuff. And like, it's funny now, but when you're in that moment, you're in the middle of the bush, no one's there to help you. And this is the case you're being presented with. So this guy, Sandy, was just giving me every reason not to trust him with what he was saying. We sat down, we were literally talking about like just life. I was keeping the convo going for like 40 minutes. And I was like, are your friends coming? Like, are you not concerned as to their whereabouts? And at this point, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the situation where, like, if he was going to do something, it would be when I've clocked, like, hey, your friends aren't here, dude. Like, what's up?
So if you were going to ask that question, you had to be most
Exactly,
ready.
exactly. So I asked that question, and then he just does the, like, oh, you're right. Like, they aren't here. That is a bit weird, isn't it? And I'm just, like, waiting for what comes next. Like, am I clocking you, dude? Like, what's happening here?
Are they imaginary friends?
No, I was freaking out. So, and then we just like keep talking. I'm like, he just was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of weird that they're not here. Like, I don't know, they'll be here. They were behind me. And I'm like, all right, man. So we just kept talking another 20 minutes and then they showed up. So it was about an hour. And I'm like, no one blames me for like thinking this guy was going to kill me. Because...
Did you ask why they would split up?
No, so when they came, he's like, where were you guys? They're like, oh, we stopped for lunch. Like, we stopped and ate some food.
Like 50 plus? Like...
No, like 60s.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, so they're all older.
Fucking weird.
Yeah,
that
is stupid.
I was like,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then they all rock up, and then I felt super at peace. And this was just before the Larapinto.
And now they all want to kill you.
They were training to do it, so I was like, oh, that's cool. Then we found that common ground, and it was all good. Yeah. But I was like really scared for a good like 30-40 minutes.
It's not often you see someone that old, like big and tall.
Yeah, no, dude, I was like, I think this guy would overpower me if it was hand on hand, but like, I would back myself to run away. And then the other time I met this guy, his name was Josh, and like we chatted a little bit at night at camp, but not too much. And again, like there's always that fear I find anytime I'm solo and I see somebody else. I'm always like, oh, I don't know this person, who are they, blah blah blah. But then you go to bed and wake up, and then we were walking out together the next day, and we just chatted for like 4 hours on the hike, which was really cool. He was an awesome dude. And it's just so nice meeting a new person in that kind of a setting, because like you already have a common ground because you're both hiking.
Yeah, you share same interests.
Yeah. Exactly. There's just no like any insecurity you have, any fear you might have, or any place someone has to judge you is just gone. Like you're on this level playing field because you're humbled by the mountains and you're just walking. Like there's nothing else to it.
And you know you might not necessarily see them again, or
so there is that element to it as well. And it was cool talking to him, and he like gave me a lot of perspective on comfort. In when we finished the hike, he also creamed me up the mountain. Like we were walking up, he just powered up, and I'm like, I hate this, but I love it.
Yeah.
Get to the top, he waited for me, which was nice. And he lived in Canberra, but we're in the Blue Mountains, so he had to get a train to Sydney and then a bus to Canberra.
Oh,
that's completely...
And I was like, that's so nuts. Right. Like, man, I'm driving to Sydney, like jump in my car, I'll drive you. And he's like, no, like I actually really like getting the train. Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? He's
Freaking weirdo.
because he's traveled Asia for like many years,
Yeah.
and he was just saying when you are used to like being on trains in India, man, with like hundreds of people just squishing up against you, like sitting on a train in Sydney is actually a really nice thing. And I was like, damn, I've never thought that being on a train in Sydney would be like a nice thing.
Mm.
Oh, I fully agree with that. Like, because I have to get the bus and the train to uni. Like, going from that packed beeline where you can't breathe to the train every morning is like bliss.
Yeah, right.
Because you never see next to someone else on the train most of the time.
Yeah. So it was just cool to hear him say that. And then I guess that starts to shift your perspective and impacts you in ways that you don't realize. But yeah, no, meeting people hiking is awesome.